Welcome, Crossover Report. 3 guys, 1 mic. Our web series here. I believe this is our 9th episode that we've done now. Nick Damiani, obviously, Paul Lamb, myself, Neil Doyle. Doing a new platform here. A little Google, what is it called? Handouts?
Google Hangouts.
Hangouts, that's what I thought. Something new. We got off the Uvu, so trying a new spectrum of webcasting. Which, this episode is going to talk a little bit of basketball. Obviously, we're going to talk both college and NBA. Some breaking news on the NBA side. College hoops halfway through the season. Just kind of going to update you with some things, have some topics to talk about. So let's jump right into it. First, let's talk a little bit of college hoops. Obviously, it's been the season of, I guess, what you can call an upset. 5 of the number 1 seeds so far this year have gone down. Teams like North Carolina, Kentucky, Michigan State, Kansas, and now just this week, Oklahoma was the new number 1, and they lost the first day of being named the number 1 team. It's just been the season of you don't know who's really the best team in the country, and there's just been such a level playing field. And just kind of start off, what does an upset to you two really even mean anymore? With this year, we've seen so many number 1 teams go down, so many ranked teams each week, at least 3 or 4. It seems like ranked teams are losing. I mean, is there such a thing this year as still an upset? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I'd say the difference this year, I heard this on TV the other day, is that there aren't any great teams. We're always looking for a great team in college basketball. Last year we had Kentucky. They had potential to be a great team, but we just don't have that this year. So I think there's going to be a lot of turnover. I think by the end of the year, your number 1 team might have 5 or 6 losses, and that's not bad for college basketball. It's good for there to be a lot of parity. Yeah, I mean, in upset, the top 10 teams are still going to be really, really good. But I think once you get into the top 5 or the top 3, they're not going to be that much better than maybe the 9th or 10th team in the country.
Yeah, I agree exactly with what Paul was saying. I would say one of the only real upsets we saw this year was maybe when Northern Iowa upset North Carolina in the beginning of the year when they were the number 1 team. But now you're seeing, I guess, would people consider the Auburn-Kentucky game? You guys watched that one. Would you consider that game an upset? Or
and yesterday I was on down here at school. We do a sports radio show, and I was on, and we talked about that, just with the upsets in general. Are there even upsets anymore? I mean, is a game like that, yeah, Kentucky was ranked or whatever, but they're ranked number 16, and it's still a big win, I guess. It's just tough. It's tough to see this year, but there is so much parity, and I think it's good for the game. I mean, and something I talked about yesterday was there's not a team like there was with Kentucky last year that had 5 of the top 25 recruits in the nation. No, that didn't happen this year. Yes, obviously a few of those top schools got 1 or 2 big-name guys, but, Ben Simmons goes to LSU. Henry Ellenson goes to a school like Marquette, which in the last few years hasn't been so dominant. The number 10 player, Malik Newman, went to Mississippi State. So 3 of the top 10 guys went to, teams that aren't constantly competing for national titles. So there's just been so much more parity this year in the game. And that's why you're seeing so many, I think, of the number 1 teams go down each week. Top-ranked teams are losing. So then in your guys' mind, with all the different number 1s so far and so many teams moving in and out of the rankings, I mean, who do you guys really think is the best team in the country maybe to this point?
I still think it's Oklahoma, even after losing last week, or this week actually. I still think they have the best player in the country in Buddy Hield outside of LSU and Ben Simmons, but they're not going to crack the top 10 this year. So because of Buddy Hield, they got Isaiah Cousins, Jordan Woodard. They shoot really well from 3. That's going to be big come postseason. I mean, they got 2 guys who are shooting over 50%, and then Isaiah Cousins shooting 43% from 3. That's going to be huge. I think it's really between them. North Carolina's been playing better, but I think they still have a ways to go before they're going to be, the number 1 best team in the country. So right now, I'm sticking with Oklahoma.
I like Oklahoma, but I'm going to go with North Carolina, actually. I just think they're one of the most complete teams in college basketball. They got Marcus Page, Justin Jackson, Joel Berry. All 3 of those guards are averaging double figures this year. And then you got the big man, Kennedy Meeks. But honestly, their unsung hero this year has been Bryce Johnson. He's averaging 16 points a game and 9.8 rebounds. He's been a surprise for them. I mean, they didn't have Marcus Page for a good chunk of the beginning of the year, and that was one of their losses to Northern Iowa. And I think as this team continues to go throughout the season, guards who are battle tested with Page, and Justin Jackson had to really step up last year in their NCAA tournament. So I think they're a little more battle tested than maybe Oklahoma. Granted, what did Oklahoma go? The Elite Eight last year?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, both those teams are good. I would say those two are at the top two, but it's really close between those two. It's hard to pick this year, but if I had to give it to anybody, it'd be North Carolina. I think I like Roy Williams a little better as a coach. Who's Oklahoma's coach?
Lon Kruger.
Right.
Taking 4 different teams to a Sweet 16. Only coach to ever do that.
Take a what?
4 different teams in college basketball he's taken to a Sweet 16. So
I'm a big name guy. I like Roy Williams better.
Big name. For me, I went Maryland, a team that's not been ranked number 1 this year, but have been in the top 10 the whole season. I just think they're a team with a lot of depth, and even though it's halfway, you're more than halfway through the season, I still think this team is trying to figure out the chemistry factor. Obviously, we know Melo Trimble, their best player, at the end of a game, if you need a shot, he's going to knock it down, and you saw him do that a few weeks ago up at Wisconsin. They got the ball. Wisconsin made a huge 3 to tie the game up. 25 seconds left, don't take a timeout and just let Trimble go to work. And he's that kind of player that can do that. So to have that is huge when it comes, I think, tournament time, to have a guy that you can go to and he can hit a big shot. And they still have so many pieces. And I think a guy for them that if he starts playing a little bit better the second half, Jake Layman, had a pretty good year last year, but this year he's down about averaging 3 points less than what he did last year. He didn't shoot it great from 3 last year, still only shot at 37%. He's shooting the same percentage to this point right now. But if he's able to maybe knock some more shots down for this team, along with guys like Suleiman who transferred in, the big man Diamond Stone, the freshman down low, but I think Layman's a key. If he's able to turn it on the second half, they're going to be tough to beat with just how many pieces that they have. So in my mind, Maryland, I think, is the best team, even though they haven't been ranked number 1 to this point. But I think they're the most complete team, and come tournament time, they're going to be scary to go up against. So college basketball, it's been a fun year to say the least, and there's still a whole lot of basketball left. We always got the games going, tweeting the games out. I know Nick's been tweeting some games out this week, putting up a lot of articles. Paulie's been our article wizard the last
Great job.
3 weeks. He's just firing them out there for us. But college basketball, always fun. And then let's look at the NBA a little bit here. Obviously, just in the past half hour, some breaking news. Cleveland Cavaliers head coach David Blatt fired. Middle of the season has the Cavs as the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference right now at 30-11. Tyronn Lue, the associate head coach, will now step in as the head coach. I guess just maybe real quick, are you guys surprised that this happened? I tried to look up anything. There really isn't anything saying why he was fired, but what are your guys' thoughts?
I thought it was great.
From the start of it all, I think we kind of knew that David Blatt was going to be LeBron's puppet. Even starting last year, he was just a guy that LeBron felt maybe he could push over. I don't know if David Blatt was necessarily the long-term guy with LeBron. Everybody thought Cleveland was going to be LeBron's last stop. And, I don't know if David Blatt was the guy you want on LeBron's last stop. But even still, he took a team to the NBA Finals last year, even with the best player in the world, and then also Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. That's not easy to do. There are a lot of guys good coaches who have not been to an NBA Finals before. I think maybe they were going to fire him down the line. If you don't win a championship this year, well, you got to start thinking LeBron's only got so many years in his prime left. But to fire him midway through the season, when you're, the best record in the conference, you're 30-11, and you fire him, that doesn't really make any sense to me. They played poorly against Golden State a couple days ago, obviously really poorly, but they've been playing good this season, a lot better than they played this time last season.
Yeah.
I don't get it fully. Not that Tyronn Lue isn't going to do a good job, but is he really going to do that much better of a job than David Blatt? Tyronn Lue is only 40 years old. He's never been a coach in the league before, or a head coach in the league before. I just don't. I question it, and I have a feeling that LeBron is going to get more and more of a reputation of being a coach killer if stuff like this continues to happen.
Yeah, I thought it was definitely surprising. I think Paul put on Twitter, when was the last time we saw the guy with the number 1 team in the East get fired, the coach? Has that ever happened? Did anybody find that out?
Sure.
I doubt it's ever happened.
Doubt it. But I'm actually not too disappointed in the firing, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, I think they took that Golden State loss to heart, really to heart. I think they saw that as a test from where they're at. I think their talent alone, they're the best team in the East by far. They really want to see what they can do with the Warriors, because if they can't beat the Warriors or even play with them like they showed in their last game, what's the point? He's not doing his job then? It's kind of like with the Bulls when they had Thibodeau, they couldn't beat LeBron, so we had to get rid of Thibodeau because we had to try something different. Maybe they can't. They feel like Blatt's not the guy that can get over the hump with the Warriors. Not saying Tyronn Lue is, but maybe the players take better to Tyronn Lue, and players tend to play better for guys they want to play for. If LeBron wasn't on the same page as David Blatt, which we've heard multiple times, maybe it's better to go with Tyronn Lue, a guy that maybe he won't. Well, he's probably not going to listen to anybody because he knows he's the best player. But maybe if he likes Lue better, maybe if all the players like Lue better, they'll play a little better for him because they'll want to play for him. It's hard to play for a guy you don't want to play for. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with that, and it is interesting. I mean, I think it is surprising more that it's in the middle of the year that this firing happened. Blatt had an 83-40 record in his 2 years so far, and obviously went as first year to the finals, but with the team that he had, it wasn't too hard. And then, I mean, I guess that kind of brings us into now. Obviously, Cavs are having a great year so far, 30-11 in the East. They're 3.5 games up on Toronto, who's in second. So now that Blatt's out of the picture, and you kind of wonder maybe if that game against the Warriors could be a part of it. Granted, the Cavaliers did not play very well. But looking in the East, how well the Cavs have been playing, it's kind of been behind them, a teeter-totter between teams. I mean, there's like a 2-week stretch where the Bulls were sitting there in second or so, and then it's moved to Toronto. A lot of different teams have been flip-flopping between that 2 and 4 seed in the East. In your guys' mind, I don't know, who do you think is really maybe the number 2 team in the East that can compete with Cleveland come the Eastern Conference Finals? I mean, because as of right now, it looks like it's going to be Cleveland for sure coming out of the East. So who do you guys think can match up with them the best in the Eastern Conference?
I like a team like Toronto. I think they have one of the top 3 backcourts in the league with Kyle Lowry and DeMar DeRozan. And then defensively, I mean, they're a top 5 team defensively. They're going to have DeMar Carroll coming back from injury in the next couple of weeks. I think they can really give – I don't know if they can beat the Cavs right now, but I think they can give the Cavs a run for their money in a series. We saw DeMar Carroll played, halfway decent defense against LeBron last year when Carroll was on the Hawks. I think another team maybe is Miami, but they're having health issues too. D Wade is old. Hassan Whiteside just got hurt yesterday or the day before that. So I think those 2 teams, if they can stay healthy, especially for Miami to stay healthy, those are probably the only 2 teams I think that can really run with the Cavs in the East.
Yeah, I agree with everything Paul just said right there. Kyle Lowry is one of the best, most underrated point guards in the NBA. He's starting the Eastern Conference All-Star game this year. And DeMar Carroll is going to be the biggest part of that team because you need a LeBron stopper in the playoffs. Everybody knows that. The Spurs had Leonard last year. The Warriors had Draymond Green, and they switched Harrison Barnes and Iguodala. All could match up with them. So DeMar Carroll is going to have to play good against him. And the Raptors are one of the only teams I could see getting there. I mean, the Pacers, they would have another good matchup with Paul George on LeBron James, and he would be able to go at him on the offensive end, unlike any other player could necessarily. But as it stands right now, the Pacers would play the Bulls in the first round. There's no saying the Pacers could beat the Bulls right away. I mean, granted, the Bulls are struggling right now. But I think the Cavs are going to run away with the East. I do, because the East is just awful to me. The Raptors got swept by the Washington Wizards last year in the playoffs. I mean, I get it, it's a year later, and they do have DeMar Carroll, but, I mean, the Wizards aren't even in the playoffs so far this year. So it's just who can take one game from the Cavs. I think the Cavs should probably sweep every single team they play in the East.
I agree. I don't know if I agree with it. The East is as bad as it's been before.
The East sucks. Well, you saw what the Warriors did to the number 1 team in the East. The number 1 team. And then they did it to the Bulls.
The West. Granted, the West is a tougher conference usually, but I think there's a little bit more competitive play when you're looking at
the Cavs. You think somebody can really beat the Cavs? For real.
In the East, no, but I think that's why you're seeing a lot of the other teams. The Cavs are head and shoulders above the rest. You look at the West, it's the Spurs and the Warriors are head and shoulders above everybody else in the West. I think there's harder competition this year in the East. That's why you're seeing teams 2 through 4 and 5 struggling because they're losing to some of these lower tier East teams because the competition was a little bit better. Those teams are a little bit better this year. Then you look at the Knicks. They're sitting there. The Knicks are a tougher team to play this year in the East.
I think
Am I right or wrong?
The competition is harder from 2 through 10, but it's not harder at number 1 for the Cavs. I don't think they're going to have trouble. If they play the Knicks in the first round, they're not going to have any trouble. It's going to be easy.
No, I agree with that. But I think when you're looking at these other, you think that there's nobody else good in the East. I think, yes, Cavs are head and shoulders above everyone else. But you look at a team like the Bulls who have struggled. Yeah, they've struggled because they've lost to teams like Detroit, who's sitting there with a much better record than they were. The Bucks, who didn't start off strong, are still a good team.
Right,
the Wizards, who aren't as great this year, they were just a playoff caliber team last year. Obviously, they're not playing as well as they were.
They were not a playoff caliber team last year.
Wizards. The Wizards.
I was about to say, Jesus.
No, I don't know. I just
overrated this year too. I mean,
it's more competitive in the East this year.
Who is the Knicks point guard? Jose Calderon.
I don't know. It might be actually. I'm not really sure. It's been interesting. Now and I don't really know if there's going to be a team to be able to compete with the Cavs. Maybe this is the time it happens with this coaching change. I mean, obviously you're thinking that they fired Blatt for a reason and it's for the better, but who knows? I mean, now there's a new man in charge. I mean, there might be a little bit of a chemistry thing. Who knows? It is interesting. Obviously, there's more behind the scenes than what we know. But big news, obviously, today, and Cavs firing David Blatt. But the East kind of seems like it's going to be the Cavs, and until another team inserts themselves, like a Toronto or maybe Chicago, if they're able to get their act together. But should be interesting to watch. A lot of basketball news going on right now. Both college and the NBA. We're in the heart of the seasons. Going to be a lot to talk about. We were going to have some interesting news here today for the crossover report, but we're going to hold off on that for a little bit. So something to draw your attention in. Got some news to drop here coming soon, but that's going to do it for us here today. Paul Lamb, Nick Damiani, myself, 3 guys, 1 mic. Just want to thank everyone again. Our Twitter following's been growing. Everybody out on Facebook liking us, following our website. Appreciate all the fans out there following. That will do it. I'm Neil Doyle, crossover report, 3 guys, 1 mic. We'll see you next time.